What's the one thing you could do that would make all of your business decisions easier? Find out just ahead on The Kathy Sciere Show. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Kathy Sciere, and this is the place where women entrepreneurs can get straight talk from the people who are influencing the way we do business right now. My guest today is Belinda Pruyne. She's an executive development and business coach, and she's the founder and CEO of BIG, which stands for Business Innovation Group. And today, Belinda is going to share how you can easily get clarity in your business and how that will make all of your decisions easier. Welcome, Belinda.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today. Now, before we dive into that, I would love it, Belinda, if you just tell us a little bit about the work you do with entrepreneurs and business owners and a little about your personal journey to entrepreneurship.
Okay, absolutely. Well, I work with entrepreneurs to create a platform that only they and their business can stand on. And the reason I do that is because it actually eliminates confusion as to why your target audience would work with you versus someone else. It also gets your voice heard in the crowd instead of the chatter of all the competition around you. And something that's really important to me is you have a whole lot more fun. So by doing that, it's really important. And how I became an entrepreneur, I worked in a global position for a large corporation. And I woke up one day and I realized that I wanted to do for the average Janes and Joes of the world what I was doing for this big corporation. And I made a commitment at that moment to leave and to start my company. And one of the biggest lessons I had to learn was actually to expand my thinking of what I could do. So there's no coincidence as to why the acronym for my business is BIG, because I want to think big, be big, act big, and have a big impact on the world. And a lot of what we're going to talk about today is exactly what I had to do in order to be able to do that.
Well, that's a perfect segue. Now, you've developed this tool that we can use to get clarity in our business, and it's called the Values Catalyst.
Yeah.
I'd love to have you tell me about it and a little bit about how it works.
Okay. The Values Catalyst came about because I woke up one day and realized that I was creating the business I thought I was supposed to, as opposed to the one I wanted to. And what became even more pronounced was when I realized that I was actually just following the people that went before me that created what I thought was a successful business. And what that did for me was that allowed me to create a clone of their business and get their leftovers, which is not what I wanted. So I just got really, really curious. And I thought about, well, what are the elements that are really important to me that I know I need to have present in my business in order for me to be happy, fulfilled, and successful? And I developed a process by doing this for myself, and it's called the Values Catalyst process. And it's not rocket science, but it's not something that most people take the time to do. And if you think about big companies that are really clear on what their core non-negotiable values are, think Apple, right? Very clear. You can walk into an Apple store in Russia or Japan or Sacramento, California, and you'll always know you're in an Apple store. And I don't mean that just because of the branding they have, although they're very consistent there. But what I'm talking about is the way they greet you, they treat you, and the fun names that they have for the different positions they have in the business. That's all based on their core non-negotiable values, the types of people they hire. So, I mean, I could go on and on with a variety of different businesses, but it's really what gives you the language. It's what shows you what you must bring to the table. And it also is a large part of what helps people know why they want to work with you, because your core values align with theirs, even though they may not know it consciously, right?
Yeah, that makes such incredible sense. You know, Belinda, I was playing around with the exercise over the weekend, and I'm sure I was making it harder than it should have been because I tend to overthink things. But you ask us first to, or in any order, but separately determine our personal values and our business values. And I'm just wondering how you sort of see or determine the difference between those two and why the distinction is important?
Well, first off, when I tell people we're going to work on business values, they're like, isn't that an oxymoron? I mean, how does that work, right? And really, no, there are business values and there are personal values. Now, you will find that there's a lot of crossover. It's natural because we don't turn off who we are as a person as we walk into our business or into a company, whatever. But we're not quite as conscious of it. So the difference between the two, there are things that really need to be present for me in my personal life that are core, non-negotiable. They've got to be there. And while they may be present in my business life, they're not a non-negotiable. They may be a driving force. So there's 3 different levels to this. The first thing you do is you identify what your values are. Right. And then from there, you look at that long list of values and you say, which ones are my driving force? Which ones do I do without really even thinking about it?
So driving force, just to be really clear about that, those are the ones that just sort of are automatic for you?
Yes. Yes. And then you take that list and you cull it down even more and say, okay, which ones are my core non-negotiable values? They have to be there in order for me to be happy, fulfilled, or successful. And I want you to expand your thinking. I mean, if responsibility and reliability and integrity are your values, then absolutely make sure they're there. But for me, and Kathy knows this, we laugh about this, one of my biggest core non-negotiable values is fun. If it's not fun, I don't want to eat it, wear it, drive it, work with it, work on it, work for it. I just don't. Life's too short, guys. And if you're an entrepreneur, this is something you really need to get big time. You've got to make sure you're building the company that supports you, that is honoring those core non-negotiable values, because being an entrepreneur is not easy. And if you're doing something that's in alignment, it'll happen more easily. Decisions get made more quickly. It really transforms things for you.
So when you talk about the fun, I think that's the perfect example of it, of when you say you really need to broaden your vision of what is a value. And I think, how exactly do you define what a value is?
I love that question. Thank you, Kathy. A value is nothing more and nothing less than something that has meaning to you. That's it. That's it. It doesn't have to be important to anyone else on the planet. Mm-hmm. And you know what's so interesting about this? We grow up in our families and we're told, as you grow, these are the family values. This is our tradition, right? Mm-hmm. This is our culture. This is our religion. This is societal values. Everybody's got a value. And then when we become teenagers, we start to rebel. And people call that, the tough years with the child, right? But really, it's when they're giving birth to, well, that's mom and dad's values, but this is mine. It looks different. And we rarely encourage them to explore that. So then we get into our 20s and we're like, okay, so I need to conform just a little bit more to figure it out, right? And what we really need to do is stop conforming and start exploring what's really meaningful for us. So if you're an artist, it could be working with your hands. A singer, it could be singing. A baker, it could be baking. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, right? As long as it has meaning and importance to you and you bring it into your business, like if that's part of what your business is, then you're going to flourish.
It's so interesting. I got to be honest. I mean, as values are something you kind of think about every once in a while. I guess they're always with you. They're in the back of your head. Certain things are important to you. But until I became an entrepreneur and started working with business coaches, I never did any kind of exercise like this to really, that self-introspection and analyze this. And it's really quite a gift to be able to, sort of sit back and look at what is really important to you. And then how do you incorporate that into your work and your business?
Well, Roy Disney, I know I've shared this with you, has this quote that I love. And it's so simple. Again, nothing, no big deal. So when your values are clear to you, making decisions is easier. So when you do this value catalyst process, at the end, you have a template of your business values, of your personal values, and then I take the core non-negotiable values of both and I put them together. And so when you're going to make that hire for your business, make sure that they're honoring the core non-negotiable values that you've identified, or they won't be a good hire for you. Or if you want to create a new program, if that program doesn't honor those core non-negotiable values of your business, it won't be a lucrative program for you. Case in point, all right, I did this with a client, and she owns 3 gyms in a Fairfield County area in Connecticut. And she came to me. I love her. She's innovative. She's crafty. She's creative. And she's just spunky. I really do. I love her. She's great. And we did this process together because she came to me. She's like, Belinda, I'm creating initiatives to increase the membership of my gyms, and I'm getting like a 12% ROI, return on investment, and it's not enough. But I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. So we did the value catalyst process together. And at the end of the process, she leans back and she goes, oh, well, no wonder. And I'm like, what? Tell me, what did you discover? She said, I am so focused on my competition that I actually forgot the values, the core values that I created my company on. I'm creating initiatives that are perfect for my competition and not for me. The next initiative she did after doing this work together, she got an 82% ROI.
That's
right?
a difference.
I know, good. But the whole point of it is, and again, it's the smallest shift of perspective that brings the biggest amount of possibility. And it's because she checked back in with what she actually created her company for. And that was to support women in a different way. And the minute she did that, everybody heard her, right? Before it was just blah, blah, blah. She honed in on everything that made her unique. And then it was like, oh, I want to hang out with her. Well, yeah, I want to work with her. So you bring it into your business. This informs the language you use, target audience you go for, your company culture, programs you develop, people that you'll hire, joint ventures you'll make. It's really phenomenal how much of an impact it has. And if you think about the businesses that you really are attracted to, for myself, Life is Good is one of my favorites.
Me too.
Right? I know. And it has been for years. And the more I get to know them, the more I realize, whoa, our value systems are so in sync. So start paying attention to companies or coaches or products that you're interested in. I guarantee you, if you do the value catalyst process, there'll be a connection.
And you're going to find that alignment.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it also strengthens why you're doing what you're doing. Because the other thing you need to have is a really clear point of view, right?
Right.
And these elements, these core non-negotiable values are really key indicators as to what that point of view really is and why I would want to work with you versus someone else along the way.
Well, which kind of leads very nicely into, you talk a lot about an innovative selling proposition, which is, I think, a little bit different than the term we may be more familiar with, which is unique selling proposition. Tell me about what the innovative selling proposition is and how your core non-negotiable values play into that.
Oh, absolutely. Great question. Years ago, as you know, I had a big global marketing position, and it was all about your USP, your unique selling proposition, right? It's not enough to be unique anymore. You have to be innovative in the way you present that. So your core non-negotiable values are really key elements of what's unique about you, right? Remember, we're creating a platform that only you and your business can stand on, so the spotlight goes directly to you, not your competition, right? So then you need to be innovative in the way you present that. So rather than being cookie cutter, my whole point of view is same old business strategies leave you playing follow the leader. And that's the kiss of death in today's business world. It really is. You have to be careful that you're not a lemming following the other lemmings off the cliff with your business, because obviously that's not going to work real well for you. So take your core non-negotiable values, take your point of view, and you're going to begin to see how clearly it sets you apart from somebody else. Then take it the next step. Own every bit what sets you apart. That defines your leadership style, right? Because again, I want to know why will somebody want to turn to me? I've got to step up as that leader. And you put all these elements together, and it creates an innovative approach to building your business, presenting your business, the elements that you put together in your business. So it's not just like, oh, well, if I'm going to be a dry cleaner, I have to be a dry cleaner and this is all I can do. No, that's not true. So whatever your story is, whatever your biggest passion is that falls together with your core non-negotiable values, it's actually part of what differentiates you. So you're unique, but now you're going to take that uniqueness and you're going to innovate a way to present your business in a way that somebody else is not. They can't, because they're not you. Does that make sense?
It does, totally. And you brought up something else that I'm really interested in, which is this whole notion of you really have to have a point of view today and you have to express it. Now, obviously, we all do have a point of view, but we may not be able to recognize in ourselves what it is and how it applies to our business. And this is, again, another way that you set yourself apart from your competition and everybody else. But talk to me a little bit about how you come to understand what your point of view is and how you can use it.
Oh, gosh. I tell you what, when I was first introduced to the point of view work, it was by a gentleman named Larry Wingett, who's known as the pit bull of personal development. And we're both from Oklahoma, so we like to goof with one another. But he has a very contrarian point of view. So he'll come at it from, I guess I'd say, the negative, contrary. And I tend to come from the positive. Mm-hmm. What I was doing that was actually hurting my business tremendously was I was trying to be the good girl, right? That's how I was brought up. I was trying to be all things to all people, and that's not humanly possible. And what Larry helped me see was that my point of view made me vanilla. It put me in the vapors, and immediately my business was lost. And until I was willing to take a stand for what I believed in, knowing that it was going to piss some people off, right, engage others, I actually gave you no reason to pay attention to me. And I was like, so it was weird. I had to make peace with the fact, because the way I interpreted it, being the good girl, was that I was intentionally setting out to piss somebody off, right? And the truth of the matter was, no, I wasn't. I was intentionally setting out to make sure you knew what I stood for. And if that worked for you, great. And if it didn't, there's somebody right over there that I'm sure will serve you better, because we can't be all things to all people, right?
Oh, yeah. I love that, because I know, especially when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, the thought of pissing anybody off is terrifying. It's like you want everybody to love you, to like you. It's like you don't want to alienate anybody. And so I think that's so smart and so wise, but probably a tough lesson to learn for a lot of us.
Everybody that I work with on point of view work, their point of view always, I shouldn't say always, 98% of the time begins out passive. Mm-hmm. And passive is the same as pleasing everybody. Right. It just doesn't work. And the thing that really got me about that was, as I said a moment ago, it gives you no reason to be interested in me. I mean, vanilla is one of my favorite ice cream flavors.
Mine too.
But it really is the kiss of death in business. It just is. And really taking that in and owning it can be a pivotal shifting point for you in your business.
Another great segue. You're really good at that. I would like to know, is there one decision you've made in your business that you can pinpoint as having had the biggest impact?
Yeah, and I touched on it really. The biggest impact was when I stopped building a business for others and I started building a business for me. If you're looking for a very left-brain business coach who's going to sit down and crunch the numbers with you, that kind of a thing, although I can do it, I've managed $28 million budgets. I'm not the coach for you. If you want to find a way to build the business that is your heart's desire, not based on what other people have done before, but what you have in your heart and what you really want to do, and I mean a sound, financially abundant business. I'm not talking, a hobby. We're being serious here. Then I'm the person for you, because when I was in corporate America, I created my own corporate ladder for me to follow rather than waiting in line to get in the one that others did. So much so that I created a position in my industry, in the advertising and marketing industry, that did not exist around the globe.
And that's no easy thing.
But really be clear, it didn't make me better than anybody. It just made me different. Mm-hmm. And so people paid attention to me. People knew, oh, that's interesting. And I had companies wanting to work with me all around the globe. It's setting yourself up by honoring your core non-negotiable values. What is most important to you? What has to be there? Have a point of view. Be willing to take that stand. Be that leader. All those things go together. You can't help but be successful. You just can't. You can't,
Belinda, I know a lot of our viewers are going to be interested in where they can find your values catalyst process. Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. You can go to my website, which is businessinnovationgroup.com, and you can sign up for it right there. It's on the top right hand side, actually. You'll have all the information right there. You can fill out, and it'll be sent to you automatically. And because you are coming through Kathy, when you do that, there's a section where you can send an email. Just say, hey, Kathy sent me.
Thank
We'll
you.
give you a complimentary debriefing session to talk a little bit about what you may have uncovered in that process or any questions that you may have so that you can have the opportunity to really begin to get clear on all it is that's important to you so you make sure you bring it to the table because you know what? It's so much more fun when you do.
Well, Belinda, this has been so much more fun, and you're fascinating, and I have really enjoyed having you here today. And I want to just thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anytime we can get the word out and help people have more fun and build a more robust business, I say it's been a good day.
Amen. Okay, take care, Belinda.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I know I did. If you did like it, please share it with your friends. And I'd really love to know your thoughts on values and how they impact what you do in your business. So please leave me a comment. The easy way is to go to thecathyshow.com, and that's the website where you can leave your comments right there. Would love to hear from you. Hey, and while you're there, why don't you just enter your email and you will instantly be on my VIP list. And that means you'll get every single interview delivered directly to your inbox before anyone else gets it. So thank you so much. And until next time, wishing you brilliant health and downright ridiculous wealth.